All right, it's good to have you back, and it's good to hear you loud and clear. Please, going to you, Barrister Mbeseha, we've talked about school resumptions, we've talked about the safety of children, we've talked about the government policy vis-a-vis schools resuming, and now looking at today's lockdown and the fact that Ambazonians thought it wise enough to respect the lockdowns and not come out en masse. That is something that it's commendable, but then we're looking at the other flip side of Bishop Nkia, who over time, according to Dr. Martin Mungwa, has acted problematic, probably for hopes of political gains and political influence and all of that. Looking at that side of it, the flip side of it, what would be your remarks in that regard?
I think this offers us an opportunity to explain what it is all about. It looks to me, because I follow Francophone media a lot, Equinox, and I hear their commentaries, it looks to me that they don't understand actually what this thing is about. They don't seem to understand. And I wish that if they could follow us in what we are saying, they might understand us better. Because I watched them yesterday. Everywhere they were crying, Ambazonian fighters, whatever thing they call it, had prevented schools, refused children from going to school. Now, that is not what lockdown is all about. For them to understand what it's all about, they just need to look back 5 years, 7 years back, and see how these things started all about it. In 2016, the Kintasan said, come Monday, you will know who controls Southern Cameroon. He was not talking about physical control, he was talking about the moral control. What did he mean? That call ghost towns, lockdown on Monday. I said, when it comes on Monday, you will see where they will obey these orders. To lock down on Monday. It's a moral order. If they lock down, it means you have lost control of Southern Cameroon because you don't have moral authority to give orders to them. In 2019, still 2016, Agombala said, amongst other things, you're locking us up because we're asking for a federation. There will come a time when you would offer that federation and nobody will be willing to take it. I want them to hear these things. Thirdly, in 2019, Mr. Wilbur, who was a member of parliament, stood on the floor of parliament and said, if you don't address this Southern Cameroon thing, call it Anglophone problem, there will come a time where you can gather all your forces, including the forces from France. You will not be able to defeat Ambazonia, or he call it West Cameroon. So if you look back to that time, 5, 7 years back, and then bring it to what is happening today, what happens after this 1 week lockdown? What happens? That will bring us to what we've been saying. After this 1 week lockdown, which is symbolic, which I'll come to explain, as far as this government is concerned, you'll be free to send your child to school if you are sure of his security. Why are schools important in this thing? Because if you go to a school and have, say, for example, 1,000 students, 500 students, the 500 students will probably come from 400 different homes. The school is the core of the home. And so the 400 children, 500 children in the school is a representation of a large community of families. And so at the end of this lockdown, the policy remains, if you, the parents, you feel that it is good to send your child to school, it is safe for you to send your child to school, go ahead and do it. But as we have said in our own communique, prioritize the safety of your own children more than the physical going to school. And so what is this all about again? The lockdown has a dual purpose. First, it's not to us, Ambazonians now, because we have been used to it. We have been doing it for the past 7 years. It is meant to remind Yaoundé in particular that they have lost control of Ambazonia. They're not in control. We're not dealing with what they call law and order. Law and order is when you bring your policemen and your captains and so on and they force people with their guns. A rare community is ruled by the free will of the people. not by guns. Not because you shoot them that they are afraid to take your orders. And so, yeah, they should have realized by now that the deployment of bees, creation of military camps left and right in schools, in villages, in compounds, is not a solution. The people might keep quiet, but they are not obeying because they want to obey you. They are obeying because you are forcing on them what you call law and order with the gun. Law and order with the barrel of the gun is not the free will of the people. That is the message to Yaoundé. It is also a message to the international community that there is a problem here, which was essentially a creation of the international community. Whatever problem we have today was the creation of the United Nations General Assembly, was a refusal to respect their own text, to refuse to implement the 1946 Trust Agreement. That was their document. We didn't take part in writing it. It was them who created the so-called independent by joining, which purportedly forced us to join these people where things have not gone well. It was they who passed Resolution 1514 and said people should have independence, no matter their size, no matter their economy, no matter their level of education. They disregarded their own text and created this problem. So the lockdown is a reminder to them that people are dying here because you created the problem. Can you remedy it? You must. I saw people in the in the UK Parliament talking about it. It is a creation. If you have forgotten it, remember yourself that this is your creation. And so this is lockdown, as Mr. as Secretary of State, Mr. Munwa puts it out there. It should be a reminder, as he says it there, to the Christians who are working under the auspices of Cardinal, the Vatican ambassador, who are working under the auspices of Archbishop Andrew here. The 400 children in the community, if they are, let me just say Bameda, if there are 400 children in the school, which is locked down, among those 400 children, you will have at least 200 Catholic children. So, the church in general and the Archbishop Bameda is out of touch. They didn't close down schools, no lockdown closed schools. We, Ambazonians, we cannot reopen what we did not close. We never close down the schools. If schools close down, it is because people saw danger. They didn't see danger from Amba fighters. They saw danger from government guns. It is government shooting them. It is responsibility of government to bring to protect you. And as I see it, it is done with their own eyes. I've seen them just the past 24 hours. They are administrators going around the schools to be sure they are open. They themselves testifying that the schools are closed. There's no Amba guy standing at the gate of a school. Isn't it? People are not going there. I saw one of them, maybe in Gokutinja, the prefect or sous-prefect, he went to school. Met the man there and said, well, there's no principal. I say he understands it because the principal himself has turned down the job. Say, I'm not coming here. Don't give me a principalship. Own it. I don't want to go and die there. And so if an adult says, I don't want to take a job for which he's paid because I'm afraid of my life, why will you, a parent, risk sending your child there? Your little boy of 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Is it worth the trouble? No. Why is there this violence? The bishop, the archbishop, the Vatican ambassador, and whoever is interested. Once we take away the violence, we address the causes of the violence, schools will resume in a normal way. And as I've said many times before, the presence of military people, police people, armed gangs, private militia in schools is illegal. It's not allowed under UNESCO. It's not allowed under UNICEF. And so that is not a school-friendly environment. Until you make the school environment friendly, you cannot talk about schools. But who will decide whether the school environment is friendly? It's the parents. I'm sure every parent loves his or her children. If you choose to put them on the arm's way, so be it. But remember, once you deliver the child becomes the child of the world. I will cry for your child, even though I don't know when the child was born. So that is it. We have not closed down schools. The lockdown is not intended to close down schools. It's intended to send a message to the world at large, and to Yaoundé in particular, that you are not in control of anything Amazonia. You can carry your gun touting soldiers, whatever thing you have there. It does not bring law and order. If you want to be sure there's peace, maintain the peace. You have the police, you have the courts, you have everything with you there. Maintain the peace, and let us see. It is not Ambazonia preventing you from maintaining the peace. It is just because you're incapable of doing it. And remember again, Patterson said in 2016, come Monday, we'll know who controls Ambazonia. Can our people say they control Ambazonia today? No. Have they defeated us militarily? No. We were reminded them from the floor of Parliament. You will bring all the soldiers you have, add the ones from France, and the allied that you have, and you will not be able to defeat Ambazonia. If they have any reasoning in their heads, they should look back to history and learn from all this. So again, the lockdown is not concentrated on schools. It has so many purposes because the lockdown is going to end after 1 week. And so what happens to schools? Will this resume? According to us, it's unsafe. If you, the father, the mother, the parents, think that your child is safe, so be it. If Bishop Andrew or his allies, whoever, if they have children to send, then send the children there. If the bishop has power to go and bring the people who have escaped to Nigeria for safety, so they can come back to Akwaya and go to school, let him do it and we see. Because
Barrister
he
Mbeseha.
can talk is cheap, action is difficult. Over to you.
Yes, Barrister Mbeseha, that reiterates the government's policy on leaving the choice to take your child to school in the parents' hands. But what is interesting is seeing this colonial force, not just the colonial forces now, the colonial administrators, people who, like Okalia Bilai, who has once upon a time referred to Ambazonians as animals and more, urging and coercing parents to take their children to school, disregarding the security concerns. Like the most important thing at this point is what he has shown is just take your children to school, disregarding the security concerns. And this is somebody who does not really regard Ambazonians as much, looking at the fact that he has described them at one point as different kinds of animals. And you see these colonial administrators coercing parents, and then you start to wonder what is in it for them. Why do they so desperately, the same Ambazonia that they do not provide roads for, all of a sudden they want Ambazonian students to go to school at all costs, not even trying to look at the security situation in Ambazonia. With regards to this particular part of Okalia Bilai coming in to urge parents to get their kids to school amidst the whole situation in Ambazonia, is there something dicey about it you'd like us in on? Barrister Mbeseha, do you think there's something fishy about his own coercing parents into getting your children to school amidst everything, knowing he doesn't exactly care about Ambazonians?
No, I don't think it's being just fishy. It's just criminal. Because I'm not there. Bilai, Okala Bilai, is supposed to be the governor who lives in Boya. But he's not alone. There's another one in Bamenda, Lily Afrique. He comes from Bunda. I remember very well, there's a French school in Boya. There are French schools in Bamenda. Why has Okala Bilai not moved the children from Douala to come and put them in the French school in Boya? Why has Lily Afrique not moved his children from Bunda to come and send them to the French school in Bamenda? If the safety is there, when they transfer you, for example, why they're not living there? Why do they think that it is not safe for their own children to go to school in Boya and Bamenda respectively? This man in Kumba, Chamberlain somebody, is a francophone, he's a Jew there. There's a French school in Bamenda in Kumba. It did not bring their own children there. Is it not just being criminal to urge you to take your own children risk? Let them preach by example. These are my children going to the French school downtown in Boya. I know there's a francophone school, they're purely francophone for French. Let them go and do the school. There's a French school in Bamenda, several of them, not only one. In addition to the purely French school, there are bilingual schools in Bamenda, there are bilingual schools in Boya, where their children could attend. The children are not attending those schools. And then they're telling you that, well, just send your own child. They don't care if your child dies while their own survives. So it's not just being, they are just being, I don't care the insult Mr. Bilal. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I think he's so angry that he should have gone on retirement, but he's not going. So I think they are just speaking with both sides of their mouths. They are criminals, they are liars, they are propagandists. Over to you.
All right, that goes a long way to explain a lot. Well, according to reports we're seeing, Ambazonians are not going to be fooled by any of their coercion, because all of the schools from different parts of Ambazonia have been deserted. We see that in Ngoketunja, school administrators, including the Colonial DO for Ndop and the Secondary Educational Divisional Delegate, who visited the GBHS Mwekong and found the campus empty. In a video statement, they noted that the school's principal and staff were also absent, highlighting the ongoing respect to the lockdown. Then we also see in Boya, similarly, the capital of Ambazonia, only mission boarding schools reported, and even at that, with very low attendance on the resumption day.